If you're in the beginning stages of starting a business, the person you are now is going to be much different than the person that you must become in order to be successful. Because if you were that person already, you'd already be successful making money. You're going to have to level up. And for some people, I think maybe they level up to the point where like they're a very different person and then their old friends don't serve them anymore.
What is up, Growth House family? It is your host, Jesse Ray, and I'm here with Tyson Smith. Tyson, what's up, man?
What's going on, Jesse? Thank you for having me on, man. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. No, I'm excited for this. And I always got to shout out the people who introduced me to amazing, cool, interesting people. So our guy, Jesse Burrell, shout out to him for making the plug in the intro. And you're here in Scottsdale, is that right?
I'm actually I'm in like Central Phoenix. I've lived in Scottsdale for a while, but it was time for me to grow up eventually.
There you go. You moved out. Guess what? You're not ready how I'm going to start this, but you are young and married and have a successful business. I think this is like a rare thing for a lot of people. So just kind of like, I want to hear about how that all happened. Like, did you get your relationship while you were, in college, or walk me through that?
Yeah, honestly, I got super lucky. So I went to school at the University of Alabama, and that's where I met my wife. I didn't meet her until like the last week that I was supposed to move back home to Arizona. Also, there's some crazy things going on. It was in the middle of 2020, right when the pandemic was happening and everything was shut down. But I happened to meet her. I immediately just like, it sounds so cheesy, but it's a real thing. I saw her and I immediately was like, I need to talk to that girl. Like, it shut everything down. I immediately knew. Anyway, I met her that day. And then again, this was before I had started any kind of real estate or anything like that. And I met her, we hit it off. And when I came back home, she had plans to eventually move to LA after college. And I was like, no, LA is lame. We don't like that. Like, check it out. They're all shut down and everything. And I'm sending her, like Snapchats of, this was at the time when like Arizona was pretty open and a lot of places were. So like I'm in the club, like, doing stuff like that. And I'm like, no, it's way cooler. And then anyway, she ended up coming out a couple of times. And even after knowing her for, I don't even know. I mean, really, we probably hung out 3 times. I was like, hey, will you be my girlfriend? Like I was obsessed and I still am. And I got lucky. It was actually the same exact time that I met her. And all of a sudden I realized, I was like, oh shit, I have to turn it on because she is this beautiful girl. Like she can, be with anybody. And I'm just a bum. I graduated school. I don't have a job. I'm spending, all my money, like going out to the bars. So I got to figure something out. And I learned about wholesale, very luckily. And I started getting into it. And this was literally the exact same time I met her. And it was actually really important to me that she was there because that was like this constant thing to get me to find that success and to push me. And, when the calls got hard and I was bored and people were yelling at me, I'm like, dude, I have to make a lot of money because like I want to impress her. And anyway, she ended up moving out. This was again back in 2020. So we've been together now close to 5 years. We're married. We have a kid on the way. But that all was just being in the right place at the right time.
That's amazing, man. I think there's so many people out there. It's funny because anytime I mention like relationships, a lot of entrepreneurs, it's hard to find, your person because you're focused just on your business.
Yeah.
And then maybe you reach a level of success and like, oh, does someone just want me for my money? But it sounds like you had the perfect opportunity where it was prior to your success and she rode with you and saw you out the whole way. That's so dope.
Exactly. Here's the interesting thing. In college, like, especially if you're a man in college, it's really easy to have like status, to be like a cool guy, be in the right fraternity, have some friends, go out to the bar, know people, and then boom, you're a cool guy. Like it's easy, girls see you and you're cool. Whereas after you graduate, that goes away. It's much harder as a guy to, gain status. Like you got to be fit, you got to be making money, you got to have your shit together because now you're playing in a different arena. And like that hit me in the face when I graduated. I was like, okay, we got to turn it on. Like playtime is over. But yes, it was just very lucky that I met her before then in that transition and then was able to sort of use, that as motivation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, part of your why. I love that, man. Well, let's start here. Let's start with what does life look like right now for you? And then we'll take a step back and kind of dive into how you even got started with real estate.
Now, I'm very fortunate to be able to do whatever I want every single day. And for me, that typically looks like helping people learn what it is that I've figured out that's allowed me to live this kind of life. And I've created a really cool ecosystem where now every single day I get to, just kind of talk about things that I know. And that helps people learn this area of real estate that I'm in. They get success. They start to find deals. And I've done this so many times and helped so many people learn this that now real estate just happens to me because I'm just plugged in, right? I'm in the middle of it all. where I've taught people how to go find deals. They go find deals. And I have a whole network of people I've sold deals to. And now I'm just kind of playing matchmaker all day long. Like, I'm sitting there on Instagram. I can pull up my DMs right now and I'm going to have like 10 different wholesale houses just in there that I can sit there and look at. And I'm like, oh, shoot, my boy Temp would like this, or, whatever it is. And I just sit in the middle, all while, like I said, getting to help people learn something that can completely change their life, give them access to a level of finances that most people, wouldn't even think is possible for somebody that like doesn't have any skills, money, or connections, right? I get to sit in the middle, help them make money. I make money, help my friends who are, looking for new properties make money, and all just on my own term. Now, I'm lucky that I really love what I get to do because I am working all the time. Like it doesn't matter. As soon as I wake up, my phone's going. And as long as that's happening, there's money to be made. But I can do that with whatever, right? We were talking before this. Like I'm sitting in the gym, in between sets, and I'm sitting there, messaging, doing deals. I could be, sitting there watching a movie. Me and my wife, we started to watch the show Succession last night. We're sitting there, we're watching their billionaire drama, whatever. And I'm sitting there and I'm like trying to make a couple $1,000s. And I'm like, oh shoot, I need to start doing some bigger things. I need to make some bigger play. But yeah, man, it's just, I have an open calendar every single day. I do have just like personal things that I want to do, but I don't need to be like, hey, to do, I need to make a video, whatever. It's just as it comes, I'm just like, dang, what would my 20-year-old self need to hear? What would they need to learn? So today I was like, what is one of the really hard things for beginners? Learning how to value a house. Shoot, let me show them exactly how to do it. Boom, pulled up my thing and here's how we value a house for a wholesale deal. Make the video, send it off to my editor. That's chilling. I got one that I did yesterday that's coming in, ready to view. Okay, we look at it, whatever. So I'm just hanging out on Instagram a lot. I get to work it from home with my lovely wife, my English Bulldog Gamble, who, I love more than anything. And it's been good.
Obviously, it didn't just start like this, because you worked to get to this level where you do have that freedom. And like we were talking about before, don't have to, drive in traffic like most people do, or go to the gym at peak hours, which sucks. Yeah. So let's take a step back, man. What was, coming out of college, didn't know what you're going to do. And how'd you get started in real estate, especially wholesaling?
Okay. So the biggest thing where I just got super lucky is that my dad had heard about wholesaling. He was working as a realtor before, and he had heard about wholesaling about 3 months before I graduated. And he came on, he was doing some deals, and I've always been really tight with my dad. And he was like, yo, you got to check this out. I look into it and I'm like, dog, that looks like a scam. Hope it works out for you. I don't want to do that. Like, I got this sick job lined up over here, this commercial real estate job. I'm going to make like $80K a year, dude. It's going to be awesome. And he's like, no, dude, you don't see, like, you don't realize you can make that in a month. And I'm like, dude, come on, whatever. Now that job went away because of COVID. And now at that point I had no other option. I'm like, all right, dad, let's try and make that 80K in a month. Let's see what's up. And obviously it didn't start like that. But basically,
well, I want to ask, is your dad just like that? Did he always just have this random things where he's like, hey, son, let's do deals together, or let's do this business?
Yeah, like he was, he's done a lot of different things. He had a really large drywall company, and that's kind of what he was always doing growing up. He worked as a realtor, and he did. The whole reason I had a bad taste in my mouth is because one summer I decided I didn't want to work at a gym anymore. And he was like, well, I'll pay for you to get your real estate license. You can come be a realtor. I was like, all right, let's do it. I basically spent an entire summer cold calling people, not knowing what I was doing, and also had no confidence in myself because I was like 18, 19 years old. I was like, nobody's going to trust me to sell their house, whatever. Basically worked this whole summer banging out cold calls every single day on a Mojo dialer. And that whole summer I made no money. I got one listing, piece of shit mobile home, listing it for $100,000, and it did end up selling. I ended up making like $1,000. I was like, oh my gosh, okay, no, I've had it. So after that, I had a bad taste in my mouth, So when my dad was reaching out to me, I'm like, are you telling me I'm gonna have to make some more cold calls and possibly not make any money at all? He's like, yeah. Oh Jesus, but I had no other option, right? I mean, all of my connections through my fraternity and everything like that was tapped because it was COVID, right? But I was like, okay, I got this girl. I got to make some money. I got to be able to pay for, flights to come out and see me. Like, we got to be able to make this happen. I got to be able to take her out to nice dinners. I started to look, and I did see, look, all these people I was seeing on social media, they had the watches I wanted. They were driving the cars I wanted. I was like, okay, there has to be something. And also, a lot of them were just like, I mean, I don't want to be like negative or come from a point of like negativity here, but I was like, dog, these people don't really seem that smart. I'm not the smartest guy in the world either, but if they can do it, what's stopping me? Got after it, right? And so basically every single day I was working off an old beer pong table. Like, those fold up plastic working off one of those, this laptop on Mojo again, just cold calling people, just cold calling. It was like pre-foreclosure data. Hey, would you be interested in getting a cash offer on your property? Would you be interested? And it took me 2 months of doing that every single day. And this is where it was really helpful that I had my girl, because that's what pushed me to be able to do this. this. After 2 weeks of 6 to 8 hours a day cold calling on a triple line dialer, and you're like, I haven't made any progress. I don't have a single lead. There are times where you're like, holy shit, does this work? Am I wasting my time? Kept going. And then eventually 2 months later, met this guy. Can't remember his name. Let's just say Joe. He had these 3 properties. Well, it was 4 properties on one parcel in Ajo, Arizona. And then 3 of them were pretty much garbage. They were just like old drug dens, like terrible graffiti, drug paraphernalia everywhere. But one of them was like renovated and he had a tenant in there. And he was like, yeah, dude, I really just want these gone. I was like, you have an idea of how much? And he was like, $30,000. And I started looking around. I was like, that one might be worth somewhere around 55, 60. So I said, okay, hopped in my car, drove to Ajo, walked to properties with him, had no idea what I was doing. And I brought the contract with me. And I was using just at that time, a Arizona Department of Realtor contract, like a standard real estate agreement. Anyway, we walk him and I remember I was so scared and I told him, I was like, well, do you think you could do 25,000? And he was like, yeah, sure. Let's do it. I'm like, oh my gosh. And we go over to his house in Ajo, like his personal residence. He's in there and he's literally like helping me fill out the purchase contract. He's like, no, you got to put like, whatever. We got it. I called up a friend who I'd met at a meetup. He was like, I mean, this guy had a sick car. I was like, he will probably know what to do here. And I was like, hey man, I got this deal. Can you help me sell it? He said, sure. He sold it. We each made $15,000. That check hit my account. I had never in my life had anywhere close to that kind of money. I immediately went to the Burberry store, bought myself a Burberry t-shirt, texted Meredith, my wife. I'm like, yo, when are you coming to Arizona? Like, we got to set something up, like absolutely. Well, look, I did, but the best thing I would tell myself is that first of all, I was addicted. I got that and I was like, holy shit, okay, this works. We can do this again. However, I don't want to have to make all these cold calls anymore. I need to hire some people. I'd heard about virtual assistants. So I immediately hired 3 VAs, got like 40,000 records and off to the races. Then after that, I had the VAs cold calling all day. I was only talking to people who were interested in selling. And then I found out that I actually really I enjoyed the phone sales. I like closing. It was like a game that I learned like to practice at. Right? It reminded me a lot of when I was in high school, there was this game, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. You ever play that? So I remember when quick scoping, the first time I got quick scope and I was like, holy shit, what is that? And then I see, it's kind of people are doing it. And I'm like on YouTube learning how to do this. And then I'm in like practice lobbies learning how to do it. And I realized, I was like, damn, if I put that same level of dedication into getting good at phone sales, dude, the sky's the limit. And that's what happened, right? I'm on YouTube. I'm studying tutorials. I'm watching other people do it, right? I'm watching live calls, seeing what kind of questions they ask. How do they react? What's their tonality look like? And I'm studying just different other general sales books and things like that. But I became obsessed for a little, right? Where it was so much fun for me. And I just treated it like a game. From there, we got VAs. Leads are coming in. I'm calling. I'm getting better at closing. Another thing that was happening at the time is like in 2020, a lot of these like TikTok people started popping up out of nowhere where all of a sudden they're mini celebrities and they're like living in sick houses in LA. They're driving Ferraris. And I'm like, what's going on here? Like there is something here to having a following on social media. And I was like, I got to start doing this, right? I got to put myself out there. I'd always been like really scared of it. Like, shoot, dude, people from high school are going to see this and like be like, what the hell is this, jerk off doing? Like, what's going on? But I was like, dude, I got to get past it. I got to do it because if it gets me into there, it'll all be worth it. And so I was like, okay, how am I going to do this? And I started just sort of making videos, kind of like the other shit I'd seen. And it wasn't really me and I didn't really like it, whatever. But that got me enough to where I had 1,000 followers on TikTok and it allowed me to live stream. Basically, TikTok has a feature where you can go live. And I was sitting there and I said, okay, I'm going to go live and I'm just going to make my calls, just like I'm doing. So I'm sitting there on live and I start closing deals, right? People see me buying houses. Like, how are you buying these houses? Well, and I'm like, I don't actually have 300 grand. I'm just offering that to him. You see, I'm going to get it under contract. And then during my 15-day window, I'm going to find somebody else that's going to buy it for 350. And then I'm going and I'm looking and I only get someone at 320 and they're like, you just made 20 grand? I'm like, yeah, I just made 20 grand. And then, that eventually started to really pick up. And fortunately, it was kind of a perfect storm where TikTok Live had a phenomenal algorithm where like basically people are just scrolling and they'll randomly find you. People who've never seen you before, they don't follow you, whatever. So started to build a following that way. And it was just really great because people basically got to see me doing the thing that like I was doing. They saw it in real time. Right. And so, there are people who've been following me for, since I got started and since I was, whipping like a tiny little Mercedes C300 that I thought was the shit up until now. Just from there, built a following, and having a following, especially where all I talk about is real estate, is proved to be very valuable because now people see me. He's an authority figure. Like I have this deal. He could probably help me sell it because they know I can because they've seen me do it live. And now I have cash buyers like, hey, look, I see that you're getting this stuff. You need to send me anything anything you get over here, right? And it's just allowed me to build this network because I put myself out.
Yeah, let's stay here for a second because I think social media obviously is so powerful. It's help change your life. What were some of the initial ways that you were able to get over that fear of, let's say, man, I don't want to be cringe. I don't want to be looked at a certain way. Like, walk me through that mindset and like where you're at now and how you're able to be like, I don't care about any of that.
Absolutely. So that was huge. I mean, it was really hard for me. I did not like it at all. But basically, I realized, number one, the biggest thing is that like hate never comes from above. Like if anybody it doesn't like what you're doing and they're making fun of you for that, it's because they have a level of insecurity about themselves. There's something going on there. And then like that, being able to like frame that in my mind was kind of made me feel a little bit better. But more importantly than that is like the fear of being cringe just in itself is such a self-conscious thing. Like it just shows you lack confidence in yourself because you're just worried about what other people think about you. And now I just kind of leaned into it. I'm like, no, you know what? I want half the people who see me to be like, that dude, like he is, I don't like whatever. Because you know what? If I just go into it with that attitude, then the other half of the people see will love me and they'll resonate. And if I can just automatically from day one be like, hey, that's how I'm going to be. I just need half hate me, half love me. Then you know what? I'm not going out here trying to please everybody, because if you try and please everybody, you're going to please nobody. And then I can just be true to myself, how I am. And then boom, right? And then that really made it to where I was like, okay, this is no problem. And also people need to realize like it doesn't happen overnight. It's like posting that first video is going to be the hardest because you're going to sit there and guess what? Your video is going to suck. It's your first time doing it and people are going to see it and they're absolutely going to make fun of it. And you want to know why? Because it sucks. But if you can get over that first time and you can get over the fact that, yeah, it's going to suck, then that's going to allow you to be consistent to where you can eventually become the person who's good at it. It's like people are so unwilling to be the foolish beginner that they never have a chance to become the skillful master. But every single person who's good at anything, they had to start off being shitty at. And so it's unreasonable to think, oh, I need to come out here and my first thing is going to be perfect. Not going to happen that way. So just come in with lesser expectations, right? And then everything above is awesome. And that combined with how good the platforms are nowadays, it used to be a lot more delayed where like, you wouldn't see any traction for a really, really long time. You had to put a lot of stuff out there. And now, I know people in like on their 5th video, they're going viral. They're getting, 100,000 views. And I'm like, damn, I wish I could have done that.
Talk to me about how important is it for someone new? Like, let's say someone in your community who you're, helping coach. Should everyone get started and start documenting the journey and getting on there? Well, you walk me through that process and what do you think now?
I don't think, just in the same way, most people shouldn't be business owners. I mean, you have to be a specific kind of person and you have to want these things. Like you have to really be willing to do it if you're going to do it. Now, I will say having a following on social media, no matter what you do in life, is a absolute cheat code for anything. It doesn't matter who you are. I mean, you look at all of a lot of these, like the youngest billionaires, like Kylie Jenner, Mr. Beast. These people are able to do whatever they want and they're going to make money because they have a built-in customer base, right? But now it doesn't matter what I need in life. Like anything, now I have just a gigantic megaphone that I can scream into. And I'm like, yo, I need tickets to Waste Management Open. Who can do that? And boom, I got, people that are sending me messages I don't even know, right? Or, hey, I'm looking for a flip over here. Like, can somebody go find me one? And then I got 15 of them sent in my inbox, right? But it doesn't matter what you're doing. It's a cheat code. It really is. It's like steroids for just life. But here's the deal is with all of that, there's a yin and yang to everything. Now, all of a sudden, my life is very much online. I wake up every single day and I have a lot of people being mean as fuck to me every single day, like in the comments and sending me messages and whatnot. And they used to get at me. I used to not like it. Like it did not feel good. Like I'm like, oh shit, like am I a bad person? Like, are these people thinking this? Whatever. And I don't think now, I mean, I don't give a f. As I said earlier, it's like, dude, no hate ever comes from above. I've never had somebody that I really admired, but I think most people are just, you have to decide, you have to make the decision like, hey, is it worth that? Because yes, it can get you a lot of these things, but if you're not able to make these sacrifices, it's just, it's not for everybody. It really isn't.
100%. Well, let's talk about social media real quick, because I feel like for 99% of the people, all it is a highlight reel, right? No one shows behind the curtain. No one shows really what life as a business owner is like. You don't have, well, you kind of talked about it. There's hundreds of calls before you actually, close deals. But for you, what's been like the biggest, let's say, learning lesson or failure in your life?
I feel like I've been lucky where I've always had a good mindset about failures, and I just don't dwell on them. Like, it's just not something I notice. Like, when I get asked that question, it's like, don't really know. Like, I feel like everything happens for a reason. So like any failure, it needed to happen because now it got me to where I am here now today. Right. And without that, the journey wouldn't have been the same. But a really big thing, especially for, I think, the kind of people who are watching this, something you need to learn is if you're doing this and you're the kind of person who's watching this, you're consuming the kind of content that you put out, Jesse, that person is eventually going to become successful where they're going to be making a lot of money. And when you start to make a lot of money, more money, more problems, typically you start to get some pretty big bills too. There's been times where like, yeah, people think I'm killing it. I'm making all this money because they're seeing me close these big ass deals and whatnot. And I might have made $100,000 that month, but I also, because I was reckless to my point of reinvesting into me and into my business. It's like, oh, I just met this guy and I think that he can do something that's going to help me make more money. Here's 84 grand. Like I've done that before, right? Like I've dished out some really large checks to different mentors, trying different marketing strategies, making big hires, bringing on a bunch of people. But I've done things where it's like, yeah, shoot, okay, we brought in 120, but now my, payroll, everything, all my software subscriptions, that's 60. And it looks like you dropped another 30 over here. You did this. Now, again, I'm not spending money like a dumbass. Like I'm not going and buying cars I couldn't afford or going on these like shopping sprees to Louis Vuitton when I shouldn't have been. I was, trying to do the right thing, but damn, these bills got big. And it's time like, I'm working all this time. I made a bunch of money, but I'm not keeping any of this. And so there was times like that that were tough. Like there was a time where like I really was like, oh, like my back is against the wall. If I don't close a deal and make 20 grand, like we could be finished. This is not gonna be good. I'm gonna have to let everybody go. Like tell them, hey, I'm sorry, I can't pay you right now. Like I'm gonna have to whatever. But in that moment, I learned something very valuable. And that's that you can sell your way out of any hole, right? So when I got in that feeling where I was like, holy shit, I need to make something happen, I turned it on, dude. I sat down and I got on the phone and I was like, I'm going to go find myself a deal. I'm going through all my old leads, everybody. And this is a reason why now we've developed a process. It's been very helpful is I went through every single person who ever we'd made an offer to, but it wasn't logged as a deal in my system. Called every single one of them. Basically, it's like, hey, looks like we made you an offer for your property over here. I know it didn't work out. I was just calling to see if there's anything we could change about it that might allow us to do a deal today. Most people were like, absolutely not, bro. You offered me $200,000 less than what I wanted. Like, kick a rock. Okay, shit. But from doing that, I ended up getting like 3 or 4 contracts in one day. For people that were like, I'll tell you what, if you could close 7 days earlier, we could probably do it. Yeah, we could do that. Hey, if you could give us $5,000 more dollars. Yeah, we could do that. Hey, if you could up the EMD, right? And I'm like, okay, all right. So now it's part of our process that when somebody, it doesn't matter if they decline an offer, we're following up with that person every single day until either they threaten to sue us, they die, or the house sells. But yeah, you can sell your way out of anything, right? You start to make a lot of money and you soon, now again, not the lifestyle creep bullshit. Don't start spending money on stupid shit. But if you're, as like, I was just ravenous to pump more money into this if it meant I could make more money. And I wanted to do that. And so just scaling aggressively. And that put me in some tight spots, but it was just like, all right, we'll figure it out. Let's get on. Let's do what we do best. And, using that as motivation.
I love it, man. So right. You could really sell yourself out of anything. So it's a great little nugget for the audience. As far as lifestyle creep, how were you able to not give into that? Because it's so hard, especially when you're young, making money. Hard. Everyone on Instagram is flashing Lambos and, all these cars and they got all these girls around them. But how were you able to just be like, you know what? I'm going to actually reinvest this in the business instead of buying, dumb shit.
Honestly, to tell you the real answer is I couldn't. I've been trying to buy a Lambo for a long time. I was making like 20 grand a month trying to buy a Lambo. But the problem was I couldn't, like banks wouldn't finance me. I'm like, dude, I can cover that payment. It's no problem, whatever. But they're like, nah, dude, unless you want to put, 60% down, we're just not doing this. But basically the thing, honestly, I think every single person who comes up, starts to be successful and starts making money, you kind of just need to do it. I think you just need to go buy the stupid shit. You need to go buy the watch, buy the car and live it up and do that thing. And then you will either realize one of two things. Either one, I now hate this thing because of the money it's costing me every month. And it's now like, right, I can't even enjoy it because I'm looking at this and I just wish I had that 20, 30 grand that's on my wrist instead of my bank. Guess what? If you're not an idiot and you didn't buy some stupid watch, whatever watch you did buy that cost that much, you can pretty much go get it back, might lose a few G's, you're gonna be fine. Right? If you buy the car, you know what? The most embarrassing part is gonna be your ego when you have to go sell it, but it's not gonna be the end of the world, So honestly, I think go do it, get it out of your system. And then you realize that while these things are fun, I love cars, I love watches, I love nice shit, but I understand that they're not gonna make me happy. It's very fun. It's pleasurable to go do that stuff, but I don't feel my life is no different now that, I get to drive to the gym in a Ferrari versus when I was driving to the gym in a my Honda Civic. It's the same. Now, yes, it's more fun going, but my life isn't any more happy, right? But you'll just learn that those things aren't going to make you happy. They're fun. They're cool, right? It's fun little trophies, but that's all they are.
Did you start to witness like certain people come out of the woodworks once they saw you were making money? Like just the wrong crowd
Bro,
that
I
you were
get
attracting?
DMs okay, I'm actually glad you said that. It's funny. You start to make money, especially if you're on social media. All of those people that, you think that are, going to be making fun of you or whatever, all of a sudden now they're asking you for a job. I don't know what kind of jobs these people think I just have available to toss out to dudes with no experience in, whatever. Like, but that, I mean, yes, the people, they're definitely, they see this stuff and then, oh, hey, like, can you hiring? I'm like, dog, you've been like, no, dog, you work at Enterprise. Like, what kind of value can you add to me? Like, I don't know. So that is funny, but yeah, people will reach out and stuff. But again, instead of coming from the point that like my knee-jerk reaction there, I do want to take a step back and be like, hey, look, I understand I was in that position one time, right? Now, maybe I didn't, the person I'm reaching out to, I wasn't close to, I didn't know or whatever, but like, that's why I do a lot of these things. I have, that's where I can be like, dog, look, you don't want my job. How about instead just start your own business doing what I do? And guess what? I have every single video you'll ever need to watch. They'll show you how to do everything on my YouTube right now for free. So instead, I mean, like there, my knee-jerk reaction is to be smug about it, but I really shouldn't,
How have you been able to stay grounded? I think a lot of people, it's, the friend circle, and we talked about this before off camera, just like you've actually had and able to keep a really good group of friends who are, striving for more out of life. And these are buddies since I think high school or college.
Yeah, I'm super lucky that like all of my best friends in high school are still all of my best friends. Like we got a group chat and like there was like 500 messages sent today before lunchtime. And I mean, I'll be honest with you, especially when I was coming up and I'm starting the business and things like that, and I'm consuming a lot of content, there's a lot of advice out there like, oh, you got to leave your old circle to level up, all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, maybe if your old circle is like a bunch of scumbags, like they're just lazy, maybe. But I guess I was just fortunate enough that, like, all of my friends from high school and stuff, they got good heads on their shoulders. They're all doing great things. They're living their lives, a way that is in accordance with, what I value and everything like that. So I think it's a matter of, look, the person you are right now, if you're in the beginning stages of starting a business, right? The person you are now is going to be much different than the person that you must become in order to be successful. Because if you were that person already, you'd already be successful making money. You're going to have to level up. And for some people, I think maybe they level up to the point where like they're a very different person and then their old friends don't serve them anymore. And then, okay, that's one situation. But I think it's just, I think it's a matter of just looking at it from that lens. Of like, hey, do these people still serve me? Like, do I still get enjoyment from doing this? And am I still getting something out of it? Or do I just feel bad? Does it leave me with an icky feeling? Like, I mean, you just got to use that, how you feel about things, the next day, whatever, as a guideline. If you go and you hang out with some of your old buddies and, you kind of feel yourself slipping, you feel like you're going back to your old shit. Okay, boom, regret, guideline, don't like that anymore, cut it out. But I mean, for me, I think it's just lucky that, again, I think I'm just a lucky guy. Like the people that I was with, they're all still great guys. They're all still doing great things. I'm very lucky to be friends with them and for us to have such a cool friend group.
Talking about mistakes that you see people make, what's the biggest mistakes that you see people make in your industry that they can avoid?
So when it comes to the biggest mistakes that beginners make when they're trying to learn how to wholesale is getting stuck in analysis paralysis, where they are spending all of their time learning, watching videos on YouTube, listening to podcasts, trying to read books, watching TikToks about it, and never actually taking action. Okay. Now here's the problem. Yes, there is a baseline level of stuff you need to learn in order to take that action. But as you keep learning, first, the idea is interesting and new to you and you get it from a high level. But then as you start to learn more about it, you realize how much you don't know. And then, right, you start to dip off and it starts to create this like mental block where it's like, oh shoot, there's so much I don't know. I need to learn more still, right? And then it takes a very long time until it dips up and you feel like you know what you're doing, right? It's like the Dunning-Kruger. And instead, if you just go like, so I teach people how to wholesale real estate. And the number one way I know that somebody's gonna go make a lot of money, like, we got people coming in all the time. They're closing a deal or two a month, whatever. But the people who are going to be studs, like sharks, go and they start to rip, 100K months in their first year doing this are the people who are just like, I don't give a shit. All right, you tell me to make the calls. Let's make the calls. I don't even know the answer to that question. Here's the next thing on my script. And they can just keep going, right? Without having all the answers. Those are the people that do it the the best. Because guess what? Doing the thing is what makes you money. You don't make any money with your nose in a book or your face watching YouTube. But when you're actually doing the thing, making the calls, that's where you're going to make money. And plus, that's how you're going to learn the best. Yes, it is valuable to study game film and watch that. But the way you actually get better is by going out there and doing the reps, right? Practicing, throwing the football or whatever it is you do. That's the way you get better. So the sooner you get out of, you understand and okay, it lights up for you and I get wholesaling. Okay, we're finding the properties, we're selling, start making the calls. You need to start calling people, ask them if they want a cash offer for their house and lowball them. And the sooner you get doing that, the sooner you are to making money.
And also, that's what you did. Like, you're not saying something that you didn't do, except you added another layer of accountability by live streaming it. So I love that you did that.
I'm so thankful for that because I realized I was like, yo, if I really want to get better at this, if I have an audience, I'm going to be forced to do this at the best I possibly can. Because I found myself like slacking, sometimes like I'm sitting there, I'm on the dialer, I'm like scrolling Instagram, on the calls because it's kind of monotonous, but now if I've got an audience, I can't be doing that, right? Because I don't want to look like a dipshit. I don't want these people to be like, dude, this guy doesn't even know what he's doing. So you got to force yourself to level up.
I love that, man. Talk to me about your community. What does that look like? Who's it for?
So we help people get their first deal, turn them into six-figure earners in real estate, going from complete beginner to that. Basically, there's a million different ways to skin a cat, right? To make money in real estate. But we have taken a system that has so consistently worked for the beginner to go from nothing to making money as soon as they possibly can. And that's because, dude, there's a lot of different marketing strategies. There's a lot of different real estate strategies that work great if you have a lot of money to throw at them or you have a team that can help you out with it. But for the solopreneur, it's kind of a different thing. So using our systems and processes that we give specifically to beginners to get that first deal, along with constant help from us, from everything from, underwriting your property so and you can confidently make offers to getting one-on-one help on any issues you might see, it's able to help people find success and get that first win, that first, fat deposit in their bank account the fastest way possible.
I love that. And something that we mentioned just on our first call when we started, chopping it up and getting to know each other, I was like, man, I love the fact that you have a community and you're actually still actively doing it. Because we see so many of these internet gurus, coaches. I'm like, you guys did this back 20 years ago and you're now, coaching on it. But absolutely. I just want to say, I love like you're actually actively helping. And then you're creating a whole win-win situation where you're like, all right, I can maybe help this person sell this deal once they get it under contract. Like, walk me through about that win-win strategy that you create with your community.
Absolutely. So it's not a requirement by any means, but I've just taught so many people how to get their first deal. I used to do a free class every single week where I would go through and I'd show you the 7-step process to get your first deal. And I've done that. I've literally taught like hundreds of thousands of people on these classes on how to do this. There are so many people that I've taught to do this that now bring me deals, right? Now, people who join my community, you don't have to do deals with me or anything like that. But a lot of people just want to. They realize, how much they got out of it and everything like that, where they're like, yo, Tyson, I want you to help me sell this one, right? And because they also see that, I'm good at it. And when we do it right with them, we add them on everything so they get to see everything exactly how it worked so that they can go do it themselves. But yeah, basically it's like, look, I'm going to help you. I'm going to teach you how to fish right now. And then oftentimes people are like, all right, hey, listen, I got this really big one. You want to help me reel this one in? And so now it is the system where, hey, we're helping you make money. And then we level up to this point where now we're making money together. Hey, I'm going to sell you this house. Hey, right now I've got members of my community all over the country who, are experts in any given industry. We're like, yo, I got this deal in Florida. I texted this member of my community. I'm like, hey, look, I just got this one. He's like, bro, I know somebody. I got that. And now we're doing deals with them. They're doing deals with me. It's just really cool.
That's so powerful, man. I love that. I want to ask you this. How do you know for you personally when you should wholesale a deal versus, hey, I want to actually keep this for part of my portfolio?
That depends on the actual asset itself. So, okay, if I get a deal that's in a nice, it's in the middle of a neighborhood, the houses all around it are good. We're seeing a lot of, new flips coming in, and it's in a market where we're seeing population growth. That's my biggest thing. But also the asset itself is good. And I'm going to explain what a bad asset is, and it'll make sense. We have it at a deep enough price where we can buy it and we're able to pull our equity all out. We're able to get all of our initial investment out via refinance later. Then you want to keep that 100%. But if I get some house and it borders a main road, or it borders commercial, or it's in a market where the population is declining. I don't want to hold on to that. Then it's just kind of a headache for me, whatever. I don't really care. Let me just get rid of it. Also, a lot of the times you get these wholesale deals, and like, for instance, this actual one I just got the other day, I was trying out a new marketing strategy on live. I locked up this deal, got under contract, texted a buyer. He was like, yo, okay, I'm in, I want it. And we got it for $315. He wants it at $325. But then I started to look around and I realized, dude, I mean, this could probably sell for $400 on the market. So how about I call some realtors in that area and I say, hey, give me a 30-day price. If I take this down, I spend $5,000 to clean it up once the tenant moves out, and that's it. What is this going to sell for in 30 days? And like, give me your answer. Like, hey, if it doesn't sell in 30 days, you're selling it free with no commission. And then they're like, hey, look, it'll probably sell for, I'd say at least, 365, 380. Boom. That just moved my $10,000 deal into a possible $20,000 to $35,000 deal. Okay, that's worth it to me. I'll double my money on something like that if we're confident and it's in a good market, right? But I think it's a matter of just looking at it. Number one, I mean, the goal should always be, how can I hold on to this, right? But is it something you actually want to hold on to? I don't know about you, dude. I don't want to own shanties in, like, I don't know, Indiana for $80,000 that might one day, 10 years from now be worth 110. That's not worth it to me. But if I can get like a sweet place, somewhere in an emerging market, I think that there's going to be a lot of appreciation on, and I'm able to get all of my initial deposit back out. Give me that, right? But then from there, I mean, I don't like flipping. I've done it before, but if I can just buy a house, clean it out and relist it and, double my money, then I'm going to do that every time.
I love that. I think we both agree that, especially people starting out, get into rooms where, your dreams are their reality, and join communities and coaching. Like, both of us probably spent tens of, maybe even hundreds of thousands of dollars on that. Oh, yeah. So for you right now in your position, how are you leveling up?
Oh, well, I mean, it is so important. Like I said, when I'm coming up, I'm aggressively reinvesting. I've spent close to $300,000 on coaches, masterminds, trainings, mentorships, and every single one, some were, a lot more valuable than others, but every single one I learned something from that has allowed me to level up. But now once you get to a certain point, then it's just sort of like, a level of magnetism where you just sort of get around other people that are doing these things. Like, for instance, a really good investment, I think, is, if you can, and it makes sense, is to buy a supercar when you're younger, because that immediately makes you somebody. Like, I'm at the gym the other day and I have some guy come up to me and he says, hey, that's your Ferrari out front, right? I was like, oh yeah. He's like, dude, I think I've seen you on YouTube before. I'm in real estate too, right? And then we get to talking and it's like, okay. And that's just one instance of something. Okay, now we're doing something. Once you start to make money, you just start to, there's other people. It's a ripple effect, right? I mean, for instance, Jesse, who connected us, he's connected me with tons of other people, whether it's like, hey, Tyson, come play poker with us over here. We're doing this. Then I get to, play poker with a bunch of multi-millionaires and their, sweet ass cribs, and meeting all these people that way. But once you start to get up, it is a inertia that just doesn't stop. You get to be around more people, and that's what happens. But it is very important what you said there earlier, getting around people who their current reality is your dream. Here's the thing. You want to get to people, if you are trying to make $10,000 a month, right? And you're, say whatever, you're not making any money, you're making a couple grand a month, whatever. You need to get around people that are doing that. If you're trying to make $10,000 a month, getting around somebody who's making 100 grand a month is just going to lose you. Pretty much want to get around people who are like 10xing what you're doing. So if you're at that $100,000 a month, right, you need to get around people that are doing $1 million, something like that. And I think it just happens pretty naturally. Like, if you're living intentionally, then it's going to work itself out. Those pathways are going to open up for you.
Oh, you might like this quote by Mr. Keeps, Zach Keeps. He said, we were on a radio show, and I was just talking about how, my life is just randomly happening in a good way. He goes, Jesse, stop. He stopped the show. He goes, nothing is random when you live intentionally. I'm like, ooh, that's a good one.
Zach Keeps is literally, that guy's my hero. He's so sick. So that's so funny. I mean, that's a banger right there.
That is big, sexy.
But it's true. I mean, look, if you are intentional about going to the gym every single day, yeah, it's not going to happen overnight, but one day you're going to wake up and you're going to have a great physique. That's not random, right? If you are intentionally making the calls every single day, one day you're going to wake up and you're going to have a shitload of money in your bank account. And yeah, it's not going to happen like this. It's going to come up and down on the graph, and, there's going to be highs and lows, but eventually it will get there.
100%. Tyson, I'm so glad we connected. I feel like I could talk to you for like another 3 hours, but as we wrap up, bro, people are going to want to reach out to you. People are going to want to hit you up. But here's the thing. Growth House, we're a go-giving community. And no one's going to reach out and say, hey, can I pick your brain? If they do, they're not from me, and block them. So we want to provide some kind of value to you. What are you looking for? It could be something as small as, hey, go subscribe to my podcast, my YouTube, or it could be something like, hey, I'm looking for this person in my business. What kind of value can we provide to you as we reach out?
I think if you guys can subscribe to my YouTube, that would be huge. We were talking earlier, and my biggest problem is for most of my career, I've only focused on building up audiences on Instagram and TikTok. But now I realize how much more valuable YouTube is, because that's where I can really help people, really teach people. So that's my big press this year. Tyson Smith on YouTube. Go subscribe. I'm live there 5 days a week, making the calls, locking deals up, selling them in real time. So you can see that and also ask me whatever questions are going on, and I can help you right then and there. So that's the place. If you want to be able to learn, that's what we're doing over there. For the people who are serious and really want to get into this, we're doing master classes every single day.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to be around this type of energy every single day, YouTube, go subscribe, go like, and Tyson, man, this has been a pleasure.
Oh, thank you so much. It has been fun, Jesse. I appreciate it.
All right. Growth House Podcast, Jesse Ray, Tyson Smith. Talk to you soon, bro.